Okay. To my own surprise, it's 12:15. I decided to start streaming again. Here's the thing. Something jumped out at me while I was... Okay, that wasn't supposed to happen. Sorry. Silly opentoonz. Better use my mouse for this operation. Oh, there it was. Right there. Okay, I realized while I was live streaming before that I think I made a workflow mistake here. And the mistake is that I had sort of figured out last week. I got caught up. In the assembly line production of this scene, and I realized that I'd forgotten something I had learned that I had sort of wanted to keep in mind, and I forgot. And basically, here's the deal. Once I get past the point of creating an animatic and getting the story blocked in, I know I'm going to have some in-betweens, but basically what I forgot was I sort of had decided that once I get to this point, I want to back up and take these frames one by one. So in other words, this is indicative of what I'm talking about. These two frames that I just did just in the last 20 minutes. Once I know what the animation is going to be and I'm telling the story, I want to go back and focus on making the individual frames look good. Means do the shadows, do the color, do the background all at the same time. It's all just grunt work that's going to have to be done no matter what, so it's not like I gain or lose anything by... I don't think there's any efficiencies that I'm gaining when I take an assembly line approach. And frankly, this is more fun. I'm going to try using this again here. And that won't work. But I will probably go back and look at some other background paintings from other shots to maybe reuse here. But so the only reason I'm live streaming right now is just to sort of catch up with what I'm gonna try to do here to those who care. So that means to make this, first of all, I probably need to open up an X sheet in another window, but I added a background level, and I added a mouth level. See, her mouth's gonna have to be erased, and then I also added the tint level, which is just kind of a thing that's always present in a lot of these shots because they basically happen at night. So that means when I turn that on, it just puts a blue cast over the shot. So background paintings, shadowing, it's all got to be done. So therefore, why not just do it in the most fun way possible, which for me is once I've got my story, once I've got my animatic, go ahead and finish them. And then what I may do is go in, say, with the plastic tool and add a little secondary animation, and then of course we have to animate their mouths as well. So in the case of this shot, what we really need to do here is grab this, cut it out, and paste it in here. Alright, that fixed that, but to be honest, I really want to fill that properly because there's going to be other mouth shapes, obviously, underneath, so that takes care of that. So now we can, later we can expand this out to cover multiple frames and then put different mouth shapes in, and we got our lip sync animation. Okay, and I gotta say, I'm using the My Paint brushes for these backgrounds, and I really like, the thing that's actually been really surprising for me is how much I enjoy doing background painting. I figured I was gonna hate it. I really thought I was gonna hate it. Turns out it's kind of fun. So, where does that leave us? Well, here. Oops. So we'll just hit the B key, and let me double check here my lighting situation. Yeah, so she's essentially turning back towards the window on this shot. So that means that basically we want to probably have something like this. And let's just pick that up a little bit. So it's essentially shadowed from behind. Actually, I think that whole bunch should probably be in shadow. So, and like in the last scene, the shadows are masked so that when the final render happens, you won't see these lines that are outside of the lines. Just need a little bit of shadowing underneath the hairline, and then this would definitely be shadowed under there. Now I think my shadow color is basically a little too dark, I think. Put that there. Yes. Yep, that's better. And of course I can always add new palette entries on this level to add, you know, if I want to have a darker shadow color available, of course that's no big deal. And just duplicate this palette entry and make a darker shadow, no problem. So there's that. Okay, cool. I guess her ear probably needs a little attention, doesn't it? And that's, like I said, that's why I'm working this way. That's why I'm going to retreat from the assembly line approach, because the only reason to do it in assembly line fashion is if there was some economies, and I don't think I realize any economies by doing it that way, because you're constantly stopping and starting because there's hand painting that has to be done, stuff like that. It's never this mechanistic process of I'm just going to go in and fill all the colors, and never goes that way. So you might as well say, well, okay, what's fun? Okay, so I actually need a I need a highlight level or palette entry as well. And I believe that one probably needs to be more opaque. Alright, let's hit the N key. Take a look. Okay, that's interesting. Oh, that's because of the masking. That's an interesting conundrum, isn't it? So that means that highlights have to be on a separate layer. Lesson learned. Okay, I'm going to hit delete. Just get rid of it. Okay. So that's a bit of a bummer, but there we go. Boom. Okay, so this is going to be highlights and cast shadows. And this is going to be bod shadows. So these shadows are masked, these shadows are not. Okay. So in the highlights layer, we will go here. I think I'll leave that black just in case I want it later. Make this one white. And I guess we could turn that off for a little better interactivity. And then I think what I really want to do here is, was it this brush? I don't remember what brush I used. Yeah, I think it might have been. Okay. Okay, let's turn on the renderer and just make sure. 36. Let's try 40. That feels about right. Okay. So, and this would be the tint layer. Okay. That's working pretty well. Highlights. Shadows, mouths. Okay, so now we need to deal with the background here. I think in order to do that, I probably should refer back to... Probably should make some rooms in opentoonz so I don't have to keep changing my interface. So, like that background. I love that background. So we need a background here, and this background would be hinting at the back of the room for sure. And by the way, actually there's something else I need to do here. When this is rendered, I can see that this floor actually has some opacity, or some transparency. So what I am going to do is, first of all, let's save all. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to edit this in a paint program, which when you're doing backgrounds, this comes up a lot. So I'm going to open up GIMP Portable. Do I want to open up GIMP or Krita? Probably both. Okay, and then up here, let's see if I can find this. Anime. We're going to go to Toons. And then what we need to do is go to the extras. And the battle... View... Refresh. Yep, there it is. The battle back half. So any paintings, any raster paintings that are done within opentoonz that you then save, get saved in the extras folder, in a subfolder that has the same name as the scene. So now I can take this and load that up into GIMP Portable. And actually, all I'm going to do is create a new layer that's the foreground color, move that down below, and then File, Overwrite C.001 TIFF. Okay? That's it. Now if I go back into opentoonz, unfortunately I do have to reload the scene. Reload the scene, and now we will see that the black layer I put in GIMP when we render is in fact there. We don't see transparency through the floor anymore. So that's what that's all about. Okay. So now the question becomes, what about this background? Well, we've already got Farstone opened, and the likelihood is that there's probably some really cool looking backgrounds in the prior scene that might be appropriate, and that actually right there is probably the one I want. Now let me see what the difference is between this and this. Those two look principally the same. Okay, that was definitely a useful background, but I think this is the one I want. So I'm going to take this background and just drag and drop it here. Okay, so now what opentoonz did was, actually that's kind of good. What opentoonz did is, because those background images were numbered, it took those backgrounds and drug the whole image sequence in. Well, that's cool, because that means that I can now toggle through these and find the exact one that I was interested in, which is, by the way, that one. Okay, and then I think for... Okay, so now this is risky behavior. Alright, this is important to explain. This is risky behavior. As I'm looking at this, I can see right now, this is actually really important to understand. Okay, I just dragged this in from the folder of background images from the other scene. Okay, well, I have opentoonz set up to import stuff, not or I'm sorry, to load things, not import them. So it doesn't make a private copy. Now that's risky behavior, because I can see right now that I want to take the perspective of this background and move it down a little bit so it frames her in better. And if I do that using the S key and then hit save all, this image is going to get overwritten. That's not cool. We can't do it that way. So, alright, so let's stop, and I'm going to hit save all. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the picture I'm interested in, Control C, and I'm going to go here. I'm just going to make a copy, and now it's sort of effectively detached from the image sequence as far as opentoonz is concerned. Hopefully this works. Yes. So now I have the copy of the image, and I can go ahead and make the adjustments and not introduce a major problem. Now, of course, I could use the animate tool, but frankly, this image is screwed up anyway because of the resizing that I did. So therefore, I'm actually going to solve that right now by loading this into GIMP Portable, and I'm going to crop it. And I'm going to overwrite that. Boom. Okay. And now that's overwritten. Now opentoonz doesn't seem to probably know that. And so unfortunately, again, it's a bummer, but I need to discard the changes. Okay, so this is risky too. Yeah, this is risky too. Let me show you why this is risky. Okay, it gets complicated with this whole loading and importing business, because what just happened was, because I discarded, if I would have saved all, then the image that I just edited in GIMP would have been overwritten with the one that I hadn't yet changed in GIMP. So the change would have been made at all. So whenever you're going to edit an external, if you're ever going to take like a background image and edit it externally, you want to save your opentoonz scene first so that you know everything's been saved and that this image you're looking at is the most current version of that image. I don't know if that's really super easy to follow, but okay, so the upshot is, in this case, I can now hit the S key, and I'm going to select all, and I'm just going to drag this guy down here a little bit. Let's see, I want it about there, I think. Okay. And now I'm pretty sure, I don't know if that, I'm going to save all, I don't know if that image is going to get cropped again to the size of the level. Let's find out. Doesn't seem to have, so anyway, okay, cool. So that's the background image I wanted for that shot. Okay, this one's going to be a hoot. Alright, just hit the B key and paint. Alright, so what I want to do is I want to... I wonder what... Let me see what that other image looks like. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, I see. It's treating these as part of separate sequences. Okay. I guess I'm not gonna whine too much about that one. Let me hit save all in. I want to see what happens on the hard drive. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so they're named differently. This is named according to the scene in the other, or this, you know, the level in the other scene. Whereas this is named per the level that I'm working on right now in this scene. I could fix that by opening up the opentoonz file and renaming both the files and renaming some stuff in the opentoonz file and then reopening it and making it all work, but frankly at this point I don't really care. Uniosen says, I just logged in and didn't catch how this importing backgrounds method worked as explained, but I guess I just have to keep 2 copies perhaps. Yes, the basic problem is this. If I do some painting here, which I am going to do in opentoonz, let's take my airbrush, okay, and I'm going to turn this way up high, and darn it. Okay, so this is a stupid way to do it. Okay, and this reveals another problem. This actually reveals yet another problem. Okay, but for illustration purposes, we can still show this. Now, if I hit Control S to save all, the individual images get saved. So the opentoonz project got saved, so did the images. So if I go back to this folder, I guess I have to hit refresh, there's the image that I just edited. Okay? Well, what that means, if you think about it now, if I take this and I open it up in GIMP, I'll just demonstrate. I'll show you exactly what would happen. Okay, so now I'm going to take this and let's take a nice bright red color so we know. Hello. Nice bright red color. P key, and I'm just going to draw a red line through there. Okay, and then in GIMP I'm going to export that. So I'm going to overwrite the background. Okay. Now if I go back here and look in my folders, I can see that that got updated. Now here's the problem. I need to, you can see here that the image did not get updated in opentoonz. I got 2 choices. If I reload the opentoonz project right now, it will reload this image and we will see this one. If before I reload the image, I think to myself, well, wait a minute, there were a couple things I did in opentoonz before I edited this image, and I want to save it. I want to save my project. Well, if I hit save all, it's going to resave this image in this form, and I'm going to have to do the editing over again. Now, there is another way to do it, actually. There's a workaround. The workaround would be to save the scene. And I'm pretty sure if I save my scene and then reload it, saving the scene but not saving all, we should have the correct version. Let's find out. And I am correct. So, okay, so now we have a problem with this cropping business, which is frankly a little weird. Let me see what happens. Let's take the airbrush. Let's see what happens if we paint up here. Okay, so opentoonz, because of what I did with the S key, it seems determined to think that this image is masked somehow. And I bumped into this before, but as you can see, the actual image isn't. So I think, for lack of a better idea, I don't know what opentoonz is going to do. It's going to keep thinking that I've got the wrong image. So unfortunately, here live streaming on YouTube, I painted myself into a corner, and it's probably going to take me like a bunch of time just wasting dinking around here on YouTube to fix this. It's a quite monumentally stupid problem to have, actually. My software doesn't seem to understand that this, I mean, clearly this image is in fact the dimensions that it is, but opentoonz is convinced that it's only allowed to paint in a subset. file, overwrite that TIFF. Okay. So now if I reload it, basically here's the plus and the minus of it. It's going to be black now, but it's still not going to let me paint in this area up here. I can almost guarantee you. Hit the B key. Nope, see that? So that's something, that's an opentoonz thing that I've seen many times, and I don't have a fix for it, because if you look at the individual images, the problem doesn't exist. I mean, opentoonz knows the dimensions of the image, but it'll only let me paint in a subset of it. How do you fix that? I have no frigging idea. Here's my workaround. I've got a workaround for this. All right. I'm gonna do a little jimmy in here. I'm gonna move this down, and then I'm gonna hit the D key. No, I'm not gonna hit the D key. Sorry. Control Z. I'm gonna hit the B key and draw a dot. Okay, so what that did for me was it gave me a new image that I know for a fact is part of this sequence, so it's going to have the right dimensions. Now I can take this one and just drag it back up to there where I wanted it, and now I'm back in business. Any additional drawings that I create, I'm pretty sure, let's find out, yes, will be created as members of this sequence. So basically we're back in good shape here. I believe I have 4 frames that are going to use the background painting that I'm going to do right now. Okay, let's take the oil paint. Actually, let's take the airbrush, and let's just, this is kind of a stupid way to do it, I know. It'd make way more sense to sort of fill it more carefully. I'm gonna probably wind up putting a black layer behind it, just like I did before in GIMP. But let's go ahead and do this, because it does allow me to do a little bit of painting. Because remember, he's climbing in the, you know, back in the room, so clearly the, you know, the mountains and the, you know, all the other stuff is behind him. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get this. I just have to get the line in there so that I know. And if that's fuzzed out a little bit, that's okay. Let's see. Okay, so now having done that, I want to establish the perspective. Like I said, I've really been surprised at how much I've enjoyed doing background paintings. I really thought I was going to hate doing background paintings. Okay, so I want this to be a little more brownish. So let me go ahead and do that. I wish there was a way. This is where doing the background painting in GIMP would probably make more sense, or Krita, because I could use masking to, you know, I could mask out the sky area of the painting, and it would just make it really easier to make a clean border here. But that's okay. Let's just make it work. Okay, so we've got this wood floor that we've been seeing in a lot of background paintings. So let's just do it. Let's get that sucker in there. Okay, and then my basic technique on these wood floors has been to, and I'm going to have to, this is all going to be shadowed anyway, by the way, too, so that kind of helps. Okay, cool. So now I can go here and give a little bit of slats to the floor. What time is it? 12:44. Okay. 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 I'm just gonna add a little bit. Let's go 0 here. Okay, so what I want to do now is actually, I'm going to lower this down quite a lot, make it pretty light, because what I want to do, and keeping in mind that this is going to be covered by shadows, but basically what I've found is one of the keys to background painting for an anime is to just get the basic shapes blocked in, and then get little tiny bits of highlight to delineate edges. If you get the edges and you can see them, like I'm doing right now, it basically sells the form that you're trying to paint, and it looks really good. It just does. So, all right, and now I'm going to actually go to black and come back in here and tighten that up, and I'm actually going to make that look a little bit like a bit of a flaw in the wood floor, and then I'm going to just take white so I catch just a little highlight there, right? Okay, so now having done that, right, there we go. So now all the animation will happen on the shadow layer. I like it. I like it muy mucho. Alright, well, as long as we're here, let's deal with this bad boy's shadows. So boom. Okay, so he's backlit. So I'm just gonna smack this in here, and it's not gonna do me any good to put the shadow on the floor because it'll get masked out. See, watch this. There, see, it disappears. So what I need to do is go ahead and say, hey, this guy's backlit. Close that area up and fill it. Okay, B key, same basic kind of thing here. Alright, we'll just scribble it in. Okay, that's fine. Now I'm feeling like the shadows aren't dark enough, but alright, there's a balance to be struck. Okay, so now this needs to be, that's highlight and this is shadow. By the way, I actually want that to be that brush as well. So let's call this highlight. It's white, and then this is going to be shadow. Cast shadow. So the cast shadows are going to actually, I have to be a little careful on this one. Because I don't want to paint over my character. It's a little obnoxious to have to do this way, but that's fine. Fill that in, and then go into the color and figure out what the density of the cast shadow is going to be. That looks pretty good. Alright, so now going back, by the way, to here, I'm just going to erase this so I don't see it. Even though it won't render, it's still a little distracting. Okay. So B key, and what I can do here is I can cheat and use my second shadow layer to give that some additional density, and I think that's what I'm going to do, because if I go back here, this is actually kind of important. I think I decided that 40 was where I wanted to be. Let's try 36 or so. I actually think that's probably a little better. So now what we have effectively is a second layer of shadowing that we can use, and what I'm doing right now I'm probably going to regret and want to not do. I'm probably going to change my mind, but I want to try it and see if it's going to look cool before I dismiss it out of hand, because my general sense is that the shadows aren't dense enough. So let's just see. That does look better. The only problem being that it needs to be, I mean, what I probably should do is actually get rid of the shadow on his body to begin with. It's actually not needed in this particular case. Hello, body shadow. Erase. What's missing here? Body shadow. Oh, there it is. Okay. I'm going to say that for this particular instance, come on, man, what's going on? There it is. For this instance, I think I'm going to go ahead and do the shadows with the cast shadow. Okay, so that means B key, B key. Alright, so now on this one, I guess I'll stick with what I'm doing, even though I wonder if it's the best thing. You know, this part of it's faster. But if the shadows aren't dense enough, then of course that's a bit of a problem. So I'm giving myself a little bit of flexibility here by using both. Well, yeah, hey Oxer, I realized that doing this assembly line thing with the filling is, I don't want to work that way. It's not fun. Whereas in this, all this work has to be done no matter what. So why not start fleshing it out one frame at a time so that it's in a finished form? Because that seems to be the way I like working. It's more fun, and so that's why I decided, you know what, I'm gonna hop back on and just knock out some more. But I needed that moment of reflection to sort of remember that my intent was to, once I get past the animatic, to just go ahead and create finished frames. So with that in mind, I had to also add a level for cast shadows, tint, lip sync, and highlights. But the cool thing is, you know what? It looks good, you know? I love the way it's looking, actually. So let's go here. And actually, what I'm going to do, I am going to hit the S key. Control-Alt, Control-C, and I'm actually going to cut and paste the shadow in here. Yep, that's cool. That's what I want. It just makes it a little more dense, and now I can go ahead and add the additional shadowing that is definitely going to be necessary, and I don't have to worry about going over the character because the shadows from this brush are already painted in there. I guess I don't really need to be doing it this way. I could go like that and fill it, right? Boom. Okay, cool. Yeah, I like that. I like the contrast that's given me. Okay. And B key. Whoops. That is not what I wanted to do. Go back here. A little bit of a fix up. Interesting. I wonder why. Cast shadow. Ah, my mistake. My mistake. Okay, I see what happened. It cut and pasted the color. That was my mistake. What I need to do is what Darren suggested earlier to fix this in a hurry. First of all, let me go back and... Okay, so what I'm going to do is grab this color and turn it red, just to quickly make sure, yeah, it's just this one area. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the fill tool, cast shadow. Am I doing selective? I guess I'm not doing selective. What I'm going to do is fill it with this, so let's see if that works. Okay, that didn't work. Areas. Yeah, I've gotten myself in a pickle again. God, it's so stupid. Alright. So when I cut and pasted from here, it added a new palette entry, and like an idiot, I didn't catch that. So, that's okay. That's okay. I'm not going to get all ticked off. Okay, maybe I am. But what I want to do is go back to the drawing. And the question I am asking myself right now is selective and use rectangle fill. Okay, dude. So it is selective. Ah, God, it's too freaking much to remember. Alright. Thank you, dude. So fill tool, selective, rectangle. Golly, man. Okay, and for some reason it will not color the... Yeah, J Parks, I have used the backlit in the light effects. It's a very good effect, and it will be being used here. But this is definitely very strange. Not selective. See, selective keeps it from filling, doesn't... Okay. But if I use rectangle, okay, let's turn selective off and let's go to the painting. Okay. What I need is freehand. That's what I need. Okay, I want cast shadow, and I'm going to go fill, and I think if I do this, and it... Wrong. Just the rectangle fill on the shadows layer. Oh! Wrong. Wait, wrong layer? No? Darn it. Okay, there's that. Another dyslexia moment here, folks. This is it. This is the only place there's red. Right? There's red. I see it. I have the cast shadow color selected, not the red color. Okay. I hit the fill tool. If I go freehand, I should be able to lasso this and have it fill. But it doesn't. What the heck is set wrong? I'll do lines and areas just for kicks and giggles. Okay. So what does that mean? That means that as far as opentoonz is concerned, I know why. It's because I used the brush. I didn't use the paintbrush. I used a My Paint brush to create those lines. So as far as opentoonz is concerned, those are not fills, they're lines. That explains the problem. Jeez, what a friggin' nightmare that was. Alright. Yeah, Darren's right there with me. So it's making sense now. Okay, so theoretically, even though I'm definitely making this way, way, way more complicated than it should be. I should be able to... Okay, it's actually the problem is here. Yeah, the problem is there. Okay, so I'm just going to... For some reason, do you guys remember this? This sequence with this pose has been the biggest freaking nightmare, man. It has been such a pain to deal with this sequence. It's like it's cursed. Okay. So let's paint that. So anyway, this business of using two different layers of shadowing is probably not super well advised. I'm kind of feeling like I'm regretting it. But I'm going to try this again. I'm going to try this again. Alright, first of all, I'm going to take my shadows. And I'm going to... Because I like having these additional levels. So now if I do this, these shadows will not at all go outside of the lines when rendered. So when I render them, they're clipped. Okay, cool. So now what I want to do is basically go to about here, get this in here, and then let's see if we can do this more intelligently this time. Okay, and so this is going to be in shadow. Crazy. Okay, crazy situation. Okay, so why don't we do it smartly? Let's do it this way. Let's go ahead and paint in the shadow that we're going to want. Here, I've hit upon the solution. Go ahead and just do it visually, knowing perfectly well that it's going to be clipped. Why? Because now we're going to go hit the S key, Control A, Control C, and then we're going to go in here, hit the B key, so we create a new drawing, and then we're going to paste that in. Once again, opentoonz did the evil thing and created another palette entry. But now we're going to fix this once again, same way we did before, by moving it over to the other color. And it worked. Nice. Groovy, man. Okay. So, praise the Lord, there's only one more frame to do this obnoxious way. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make this faster than ever. I'm going to go like this. 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 Put all this in shadow. And by the way, this part I might as well just color in. I am not lifting up my pen. And now this, I gotta create a closed area. Alright. And now wrap all the way around here, and I'll bet you that's gonna do it. Excuse me, it needs to be in normal mode. Yep, there we go. Okay, a little bit of a problem up here, but that's okay. Alright, let me just double check that. Okay, I am going to go ahead and erase into this. Like that. And actually here too. Okay, so now we're gonna hit the S key, select all, Control C, go here, hit the B key, draw a picture, Control V, go here, and hit the fill tool. Oopsie poo. Lines and areas, and we want to go rectangular. Boom. Okay, and now we're going to take this. We're going to delete them. Delete them. Kill it. Kill it. That's what I want. Wow, okay. Got to say, I used to hate it when I could see someone drawing in the main window and there was a level strip on screen. It's another panel. Different levels. Yeah, it's just, I don't actually go to the level strip that often, but when you need it, it is kind of handy, definitely. Okay, I'm getting away with murder on this sequence. I know. These shadows look stupid on his hair. I'll tell you what we can do is, I really kind of did this in a dumb way, but that's okay. One thing to remember is this sequence is going by really fast, so we've got some latitude in regard to the whole you know, imprecise nature of some of this stuff I've got going here. So I'm just gonna fine-tune this if I can. Yeah. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, that I don't like. So the fact that we've got a couple, like kind of a two-tone thing happening here really does not matter. That looks pretty stupid, definitely. But I'm just gonna, you know, again, bearing in mind this whole sequence, this is gonna be like, boom, boom, you know, it's gonna be something like that. And then I think what I'll probably do is take this one, and I'll probably take this frame, put the plastic tool on it, and add a little secondary animation to stretch out the transition between this and this, which will be pretty easy to do, I think. Okay, enough of that fun. Okay, now, let's see. It's just handy to glance at and see you're on the shadow level. Yeah. Okay. So now what are we going to do here, folks? Well, honestly, what I really want is this drawing again. But except without the shadowy characters in the background. Let me think about how I want to do this. If we... Let's see if we... Okay, yeah, see, it's not going to let me select an image from... Okay, this is where I need to stop the presses and think about what I'm doing here, because actually, if I turn the sketch back on, this was kind of important. Hello, alpha. Okay, yeah, I need that up there as a guide. This background drawing is actually kind of important to not screw up. Okay, so let's just rock and roll. What we got to do is got to get the hello. Where's my oil paint? Let's go with kind of the floor color. Okay, so what we've got to do is we've got to get the floor in there, and I'm gonna have to deal with the atmospheric perspective of it. I'm talking here like an idiot because I'm about to try to do something that I don't consider myself particularly good at. Okay, all right, here's our... I'm gonna go ahead and just draw our perspective in there. Is that correct? It's not quite correct, so let me fix that. Okay, yeah, so our perspective line, if we're going to, I don't have to adhere to this, but I'm going to. Okay, so I'm going to erase that one. So I'm going to try to do this quickly, folks, so that you can kind of see how it's done. Okay, if you're going to draw backgrounds, there is literally nothing as important as perspective. If you can get the perspective right, the rendering can be kind of lame-o and childish and cartoony and all the rest, and it's still going to look pretty good if you don't screw up the perspective. So my objective right now is to not screw up the perspective. So having done that, I'm going to take this and just chop that back out again. Okay, so there's my floor. Okay, and now, broadly speaking, I'm going to say this is definitely in darkness. Definitely in darkness. I'm going to make that actually pure black. This doorway. And what we want to remember is that everything in this background is really, really, really dark. So, with that in mind, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit Save All. Okay, Control S. File, Save All. Okay, just to make sure. All right. opentoonz seems to be thinking. All right, so now I'm going to go in here, and there it is. All right. Okay, let's open that up in GIMP. Okay, and let's just cover our butt here. Let's add another layer that's going to be the foreground color, black. We'll put that down like that. And let me think here how I want to do this. Probably what I want to do is mask this out. Let's just mask this out like that. Okay, so that way I can paint into this without doing any damage to the other area. And just to be safe, doggone it, I'm putting it on another layer. Okay, so that's... I don't want that. I don't want black. I want transparency. So boom, boom, boom. Okay, so now what are we going to do with it is the question. Well, number one, I don't really want it to be black. I want it to be kind of gray, and the overall, the basic tonality of it is kind of gold, but really dark. Okay, and so I'm going to hit a brush that allows me to put that in there, and then of course this layer needs to be down one level. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is, okay, let's really think about composition here. I mean, let's really think about composition. Let's hem this in, okay, and let's see, opacity. It's pressure opacity. Frankly, I'm probably going to be better off to do this in opentoonz. But okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the selection and invert it. Okay, so now by inverting the selection, what I just did was make it so that I'm going to be painting into this area down here. So now I'm going to hit the F key, which I've got set up in GIMP to cause me to be able to dynamically resize my brush. And I'm going to just follow the texture of the floor and the perspective lines that I put in earlier. like so. Lazy Nizumi. What is Lazy Nizumi? Okay, so now what I want to do is introduce some texture to the wood on the floor. Now remember, this is a background image that's kind of less, the details are going to be way less important on this section, or this drawing, than the previous one. I can't talk and think at the same time. What we got here? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, okay, good. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to darken, and I'm actually going to make the brush really big so that I can just create some, okay. Alright, now what I'm going to do is merge this down so that, hello? Okay, sorry folks, I'm flattening the image. Flatten it. Merge down works. Alright, because when I darken, I want to affect the lines as well as the surface underneath the lines. So given that, I'm going to actually hit the O key, which is the sampler, and back to the brush, and I think I'm going to remember we do have a little bit of sunshine coming in, so let's do this. Alright, okay, except I'm going to redo that. I'm going to put my brush in overlay mode. Okay, so it actually creates a light effect. It affects the saturation a little bit. Overlay mode is so useful because, see, what it's doing is it's letting me convey a sense of color, but you sort of just feel it. So now what I need to do is hit the selection and invert it again. So now I'm working on the background. I want to go to black, and let's shrink our brush down a little bit. Hello. Okay, P key, F, there we go. Okay, sorry, wrong color there, folks. Okay. Okay. Alright. Okay, so now what I said in an earlier video or something was that, okay, selection, select none is what we want. Now obviously I'm not using hotkeys, and I probably should be. Normally I would, but okay, so now what we want to do is go back to normal mode, and because we got to cover the, ooh, sorry, wrong color. Let's hit the O key, sample that, hit the P key for, which in GIMP is the brush tool. Okay, and let's just keep rocking and rolling here. I'm feeling like I'm in the zone, folks. I'm in the zone. Okay, I had said earlier that I wanted some sense of pillars. I don't want them to be very prominent. I want them to be kind of pretty subtle. But now let's hit the F key, shrink that way down. Okay, and now I'm going to put a bit of a gold suggestion. Nope, it's not. It's too, that's too, let's turn the opacity way down so that I have to work it up. Oh, see, it's still too obnoxious. Wow. Turn the opacity way down so that we have to feel it coming in, because it's going to be really easy to overdo this. Really easy. Yep, there we go. Okay, so now we have this sense of texture here on the wall. I'm going to hit the O key and then the P key, and what happened here? The O key, I don't really feel like, based on the background color, that it's doing. It's just, I really love the hotkeys, but apparently I did not. I need to update all my hotkeys in GIMP. Okay, so now what about this bottom here? Okay, the highlight, what this feels like is that the moonlight that's coming in is kind of catching this floor. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let's add another layer just so that we kind of protect ourselves. And then what I'm going to do is add a mask. Okay, layer mask, and it's going to be full transparency. Okay, and then I'm going to paint white into there. So P key, and I want the opacity cranked. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm making it so just this part of this layer is opaque, which means that if I paint into it, as you can see, all right. So why did I do that? Well, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a Gaussian blur on the mask itself. Okay, so let's do about probably 50, so it's really blurry. Okay, that really softened it up, as you can see. And now what I'm going to do is go in here, and I want this to be blue. Okay, and the reason I want it to be blue is because the moonlight is supposed to be blue-ish. Okay, and I'm going to take this. I want this to be a light effect, so I'm going to use overlay mode. And what it's doing is effectively tinting that area in there a little bit. Really, really subtle, but... And I'm not totally satisfied with it, so I'm going to do another layer in normal mode. Let me actually try multiply. Multiply might be better. Yes, multiply is better. There we go. So see how we're kind of moving that little edge. We still have that specular highlight. It's catching the edge, but it's way more subtle. So, okay, so now if you merge down, that might destroy the blending modes to an extent. So what I'm going to do is image, flatten, and what I just did right there is kind of similar in principle to what I'm doing in opentoonz by going one frame at a time and trying to finish these frames up. I tend to flatten images out a lot and try to work as close to a single layer as possible. There's no particular reason why that's necessarily a better thing, but it seems to be the way I prefer to work. So it's a little contradictory because, let's see, this really needs to be radial. So we're going to go foreground to background. And why am I drawing a blank here? Oh yeah, here we go. Radial. Okay, so foreground to background. You silly thing. Let's do... Oh heck, let's do a multiply and see what happens. Do we still have the mask on here? Nope, I flattened that. So don't do multiply, do normal. Hello? What's going on here? Let's do normal. Foreground to background and RGB. Maybe I shouldn't have changed that. Oh, I see. That flips that. So there we want to go hard edge. I don't think I want a hard edge, folks. I don't want a hard edge, but okay. Okay. So now we want the opposite. What we want to do is hit the X key and honestly, I think what I want. First of all, let me get my colors straight. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. So what I want is to, if you guys can believe this, I'm really kind of fighting with GIMP here. Okay, that didn't quite work. Okay, that's not too bad. Let's put it about, I'm not quite getting the spot I want. Okay, that's fine. Okay, and then I'm going to hit Control F. Oh, really? That's what you're going to do, GIMP. Okay, I just managed to pretty much identify a bug in GIMP, didn't I? Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Let's try that again. So I guess you don't want to do the blur operations, like stack up too many of them. Okay. Now what I wanted was overlay mode. And now you guys are going, what the heck's he doing? Well, now you can see what I'm doing. What I'm doing is I'm creating the, I'm putting the window in the foreground because it's getting light from the moon, and I'm casting the background into blue. And frankly, I think that looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do is hit overwrite, and one thing I have to say after all these years of using GIMP that I actually hate about it is the fact that all of the hotkeys are different than what every other program sort of has arrived at as being the normal expected hotkeys. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save my scene, but then I'm going to reload it, and that should load up the background image that I just painted, and there it is. And that's not too bad. Now, we do have a problem. We do have a problem. And the problem is that once we add the tint, and I'll actually strike that. That might not be too bad. Okay. My sense is that I'm going to do a couple things here. First of all, just to be saucy, I am going to go ahead and reopen this in Krita. Maybe it's just because I've been using Krita a lot more lately. I've been kind of fighting with GIMP here. Okay, so what I want to do is take a filter that's going to be an adjustment, and I want to do curves. Okay, and the curves are going to simply raise the level. Okay, and then what I want to do is adjust hue saturation value. I really want to crank the saturation down a bit. Something like that. And we should be able to save this. From what I recall, these default settings are palatable to opentoonz. So now I should be able to reopen this and have the contrast a little bit more in line with where it needs to be. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so now when I add the tint, it sort of brings it all to this, to the level of blueness, if you will, that we want. Okay, so cool. Arguably, we need to put shadows in as well, and these would be cast shadows. So B key. So it creates a drawing. We want the cast shadow, and just sorry. Okay. By the way, this, I should have thought of this earlier. I am so dumb. All I ever had to do back when I was struggling with those shadows is drag this level to the left so that it's behind the characters. Darren, why didn't you point that out, Darren? I thought you were the guy that, like, always saves me from myself. Crazy. So now I can paint to my heart's content, and I know I'm not going to cover up my characters. Okay. Isn't that crazy? Should have thought of that earlier. So there's that. Pretty subtle considering how dark the situation is. But, and then the body shadows belong on top. So we'll go ahead and just do the usual operation here. That's going to be masked out later. And we'll put Akari. You know, we want this to be kind of mostly in shadow-ish, you know, like so. And these guys, yeah, I think I would like them to be slightly darker. I could change the palette entry for that tone, but no, I think that actually looks okay. I will go in here and say the silhouette color. Let's see what happens if we darken it just a little bit. Okay, so this is a little bit dangerous because I use this silhouette color in quite a few places, so I may be shooting myself in the foot here by darkening that. But then if we need to, we'll just compensate for it later. Yeah, Darren. Darren feels bad. Yeah, well, you should feel bad, buddy. All right. Obviously, I'm kidding. Okay, so with that, see, isn't this fun? This is so much better than the way I was working earlier today. You know, it's really cool to kind of see what this is really going to look like. Now, so what we need to do, by the way, is for the body shadows, we need to add a highlight. Control C, Control V, and make that white. And just to make sure, I believe we've got the correct, yeah. Okay, so this is just for, this is going to be used for highlights. And I can actually cover the shadows a little bit, as you just saw me do, which is kind of convenient. 127. Alright, and now I think I want to make the highlight a little bit more prominent. Not much. Cool beans. Okay. I like the way that's going better. Should I put some highlights here? Should I underscore the fact that the light is behind him? I don't know. I'm going to do it and see if I like it. Now again, because this is on the body highlight or the body shadow layer, if I go outside the lines, it doesn't matter. It's going to get masked. So, what do we think? I don't actually think I like that. I think it's better as a, because actually, and the reason is because earlier I had even said that probably his hair in this shot should maybe even be a silhouette. But that's fine. All right, onward and upward, folks. Background. So we got the same situation here. Hit the B key, and let's grab our oil paint, and let's get it blocked in. All right, so here's the window. I don't know what the heck I was thinking there, because this should angle up if we have this perspective, and therefore, okay, that's, oh yeah, that's because it's behind. So there's something strange there going on. And we'll say if we had this, there's our, okay, now stop. Okay, this is wrong. The perspective's fine, but insofar as these lines go, it's not fine. Why? Because we're now looking at the window. The grain of the floor has been established to be going this way. Hello? I don't want a guide. Thank you very much. Okay. So this is definitely going to be dark. Really dark. This we can... Okay, so now the question becomes, what do we want to do over here? And the answer is I'm not quite sure yet, but let's just say if we're going to put some indication of that pillar there, we're going to... Okay, this is another reason to go to the image strip, is because the characters are in front. If you want to see what you really got, you've got to go to the strip so you can take the characters out of the picture. My sense here is that we want to give an indication of the back of the room, and now let me just look at this for a minute. Okay, so this is going to go like this. I just want to think about this. Okay, my sense is that we want to, and that's fine, I can use this. I'm just gonna draw what I'm feeling. What I'm feeling is something that's, throughout the scene we haven't really seen this wall. It hasn't been illuminated. It's, of course it's there, but we haven't really been able to see what really might be there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to get creative, and let's just say we got some things that are hanging from the ceiling, and I'm seeing sort of drapery here, like so. And again, this is going to have to be really, really handled subtly. The contrast in tones and stuff is going to have to be very gentle, let us say. Okay, so let's close up this one from Krita. Let's go back here. There it is. We're just going to trust in Krita to be there for us. Okay, so now I have a little bit of a problem in that the original drawing had white behind it, so that I was able to see what the heck I was doing. So just to make life easier, I'm going to duplicate that here, and okay, the black in the image is in fact black. So I didn't solve that problem. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a filter. I'm going to do an adjustment. And let's start cranking it up so we can see what the heck we have. Okay, but let's not do it on the the white background layer. Let's actually do it on the layer we need to do it on, which is this one. Okay, there we go. Now I can see my guides, at least. Wow. Okay. So what's the first thing we want to do? Well, let's isolate the floor, doggone it. Let's isolate the floor. And then, see, I tell ya, what should we be using here? Outline selection tools for drawing. There's not really a polyline selection tool, which kind of sucks. See, this is where I'm so much better in GIMP. I've been using the masking tools in GIMP for like 10 years, you know. And so right now what I want to do is turn this selection into a mask. Let's just try it. Selection. Convert it to shape? No. Feather selection, grow selection. Let's add a transparency mask. Okay, okay, that's kind of interesting. Okay, I can live with that. The only caveat being that I lost my perspective. So unfortunately I'm going to have to delete that mask and select none. And we're going down here to the... Okay, sorry. Let's just go back to opentoonz and look at it. Okay. Basically, we're going straight to the corner. Okay. So right there is where we want to be. So let's add a transparency mask. Alright. It's all opaque at this point. What I'm going to do is make this black. Hit the brush. Okay. So by painting black, it's making it transparent, which is effectively showing the white below. So as you can see. Alright, so now what do I want to do? Hit the fill tool? What if we fill it with black? Does that work? Come on. No, because it's respecting the background. Okay, okay, okay. Okay, that's interesting. That's definitely kind of sort of interesting. But probably because I'm working in Krita, I'm just going to make my brush like stupidly big. and do it this way because I just literally don't know any quicker way to do this than I'm doing right now. If this was GIMP, it'd be easy. Alright, so select, invert, and same thing here. So all we're trying to do is take the layer that has the floor in it, now select none. Okay, so now we've effectively masked the floor, so when we paint into the floor layer, we're only going to be able to paint where we mean to paint. I like this brush I'm using. Actually, I think I'm going to make it even bigger, and I'm going to take a color that's kind of reminiscent of the floor and just go like this. Not too shabby. Alright, so now okay, I'm going to make it even smaller, a little bit lighter. Little bit lighter. Okay. Little bit smaller. Little bit lighter. Really small. Okay. And this is just some random sense of grain is fine. Okay. Okay, so now what's kind of interesting about this is what we actually want to do now is delete the transparency mask. I think the way we do that is by hitting the trash can. And so, okay, so now, okay, this is what we've learned. The transparency mask is only useful when it is in force. Okay, so there's a solution. Here's the solution. Duplicate the layer and remove the transparency mask on the one that's behind. Okay. No. Actually, that's not the solution. That was close. Kill that. Okay. What I'm going to do is I want to duplicate the layer. Okay. And okay, so yes. And then this needs to be inverted. So let's go. I guess actually layer, there must be a simple invert image. See, there's no separate color menu. Trim, convert, edit, filter, adjust. There must be an invert. There it is. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. So now we've got this layer that's the floor, and we've got this layer that's the wall. Now, it would be really prudent to save this as a krita file right now. And I'm going to go ahead and save it in the what do we want to call this? We want to call this, let's call this the side view of Akari's room. Boom. We'll save it as a krita document so we can go in and start fixing things. Okay, so now let's go here, and it should be the case that if I paint, yeah, see, it's only going to paint where the where it's not masked. So now what I want to do is basically get that to roughly around there. Okay, and let's put a little bit of a blue hint out here, since that's the great outdoors. Alright, let's jump back to opentoonz just to take a quick evaluation. Okay, it looks to me like the outside of this is coming down a little bit further. So I'm just gonna keep this fuzzy. I want to keep it fuzzy. I don't want it to be too crystal tight and clear and specific. Yeah, and now let's go in here and Tighten it up a little bit. Okay. Alright, so now with that, we need kind of a gray. Alright, and actually, let's go down here, and we'll just sample that. Okay. Go back up to here. And again, I'm just going to sharpen this. Okay, so one thing we want to remember is that we are going to want essentially, here's what we're going to want. Okay. Okay. Let's erase back out of that. Okay. The B key. I'm just going to make this really big. We don't want it in erase mode, by the way. Because this has been a feature throughout the scenes of the moonlight shining in this doorway. And so what we'll do is we'll go ahead and add the moonlight, and then what we'll do is we'll do a Gaussian blur. Just crank it up. Do that, and then turn the opacity of that way down. Yep, look at that. Isn't that nice? I like it. Okay, so now let's save our krita file. I'm doing Inio-san asked me, okay, Jay Park says, do I like krita for animation? Basically not really, but it's not too bad. It just depends on what you're doing. I'm just finding opentoonz is a little better all the way around for me. Inio-san says, what resolution? It's just HD. It's 1920 by 1080. Okay, so now what we need, this is where it's going to get a little bit fun. I think I'm going to add another layer and work in this layer, because this is actually probably going to be a good example of how working in separate layers can be really useful. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, what's my basic color theme of these draperies? I'm going to say my basic color theme is going to be sort of gold-ish. Okay, let's put in a median color of gold. Let's just do it. Let's rock and roll and just slap it in there. Okay? Really fast. Just get it in there. Okay? You say, wow, that's a little too light. So, okay. So let's get them in there. You'll see how this is going to work. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to black, and I'm going to say, okay, I got this coming in the windows, so you know, the light coming in. So we're going to have a lot of wrinkles here. A lot of wrinkles. Let's add some wrinkles here. Right? And you know, some sort of little bit of cast shadow action, a little bit of darkness behind, but basically wrinkles are what we're interested in. Okay? So there's my curtains. Well, you say, well, you need some sort of highlights on them, don't you? Well, sure you do. So let's put the highlights. Let's go ahead and add the stupid looking highlights. You'll see why this is cool in a moment. Okay? So now I'm going to add these highlights like that. And then what I'm going to do, by the way, I'm going to also erase that right there. Alright? And I'm going to put this down here, and I'm going to add some black. So I'm going to say that actually I'm going to make a real small brush, and I'm going to give these, ostensibly give these curtains a bottom. And I think for let's see, how do I want to do this? I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab this bunch right here, and And I'm gonna actually use the dropper thing, and I'm gonna push this in. I'm gonna push that in. Okay? Now I'm gonna hit the S key and grab this. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna just push this in like that. Okay, so it's kind of like there's sort of a thing around it. Okay, so now I'm also going to spread this out a little bit. Okay, all right, and let's just say if we were going to have such a wrap around this, let's just say that it would kind of be burgundy for some reason. Okay, and maybe there's some other burgundy elements here and there, like so. Okay, fine. All right, so now let's give this some dimensionality. So we're going to have some shadows, like so, blah, blah, blah. And we're going to have some highlights like so. And now what we're going to do is take this whole layer, and we are going to go to the Gaussian blur one more time. And let's just see what feels good. Probably about there. Okay, and now we're going to put it in overlay mode. Nope, can't do overlay mode. I guess we'll stay in normal mode, but let's just turn the opacity way down. So now what we've got is something like that. So all we want to do is suggest. Okay, now this does present a problem, because here, sorry, right here, all right, we've got to erase. So let's hit the B key and go into erase mode. Make this really large. Okay, we can't do that. Sorry, my bad. I need to just, hello, we're not supposed to be in erase mode. Thank you very much. Okay, and I just want to scribble out these erroneous lines that we have in here. Okay. And again, I'm going to go with that. I actually think this is okay. Boom, boom. Okay, so now let's look at this. Just want the slightest indication of that. Okay, and we gotta go here too, by the way. Hello, I hate it when I click and it doesn't grab what I clicked. It's like majorly annoying. Okay, and I'm gonna put a little indicator of the other pillar right there, just so there's something. Okay. Sadie, I'm really enjoying watching you really struggle with it. You're enjoying watching me struggle. Nice. It's always fun to watch people struggle. Okay. So here I'm going to actually take some black, and I really want to lose these. I really want to lose these in the as we approach the floor. All right, and then I think what I'm going to do is I've got to tighten this brush up. Let's get a different brush. Let's go to all and just get a brush that I think is going to have a little bit more crispness to it. Okay, so now if we did this, all right, what about shadowing? I don't know. I'm going to take the opacity of this and turn it way down. And just give a little indication of something. Alright, and I also, for some reason, I really feel compelled to create an overlay layer that's very transparent. And for some reason, I'm feeling like I want these guys to be a little more bluish. Come on. Drag you down and drag you back up. Let me go to normal and see what I've got here. Yeah, okay. Oh, I see what the problem is. Duh. I've got a transparent brush. I didn't really want that. So I'm just going to go ahead and add some noise. Turn it way down, go back to overlay mode. And now we can essentially sneak in some, again, a little bit of dimensionality. And I actually think I'm going to go like this. And then add the Gaussian blur back in again to this layer. Okay, Krita, don't be stupid. Okay, how about that? Okay. What if we add a little bit of a red hint here? Yes. Whoops, that's too dark. I mean, that's too, actually bright is really the word I was looking for. Okay. Now, final step. Really small brush. What I'm going to do is, hello? Okay, let's keep the opacity high. Those little bits of specularity just add so much. And we don't want to create a situation. Hold on. You used some tools in Krita that I never used and didn't know was there. Good. Well, the thing about Krita is anything you want to do that involves digital painting, pretty much the tools are there. They really are. It's just that you gotta, as you're alluding to, you need to know that the tools are there, and then you need to know how to use them. So I'm gonna actually just make some little amendments here. I'm gonna turn the opacity of this dark brush way down so that I don't want to lift my brush, because when you're dealing with brush opacity instead of layer opacity, if you lift up your brush and put it back down again, you're going to get an increase in the density of the shadowing, so which is what I'm trying to avoid right now. Nah, I don't want to do that. That was kind of stupid. Okay. But I can just use this to just fine-tune the shadows a bit. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I think maybe this shadow needs to be a little denser, but I think we're okay. Little hint there of a shadow. See, that little shadow right there is hugely important. I mean, that adds a lot of character to it. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and make the outdoors tonality just a little more dense, and then tighten that up a little bit. Okay, I think we're okay. File, save, and then what we have to do is file, save as, and we're going back to TIFF, and I better darn well make sure I know which painting I'm doing. This is 9A. Right there, okay? So I'm saving my scene, but I'm not saving all because I don't want to save the painting. Alright, and 9A, there it is. Save it. All the defaults are fine. Let's bring it into opentoonz and see what happened. Okay, pull out here and look at that. Okay, there's a little bit of a positioning issue with Ninja number 2, but all in all, not too shabby. Not too shabby, folks. I would say that this is actually a really good example where I probably want to just adjust the entire frame. We've only got 2 frames here. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit the S key, select all, and what if we move this down here? So now what I did was I did east, west, negative 12.5, north, south, 29, negative 29. So I'm going to go negative 12, negative 30, because I can remember that. Okay. S key, control, select all, east, west, negative 12, north, south, negative 30. Okay. So there, I just edited those 2 drawings, and I think that looks so much better. Not bad, huh? Just before I go, I want to re-mention that I wasn't enjoying much use. So, I know, it's cool, man. So this is much more fun. I'm having more fun than I was earlier today, because I'm going ahead and getting these frames in a finished state that I'm satisfied with, and I'm really digging the background paintings. Oh, I did forget something though. I guess I'm going to try this directly in opentoonz. I'm going to use the oil paintbrush B key, and I want this to be at 0. Hello, 0. And what I wanted to do was let me start here, and then I want to change the tint a little bit. And I think what I wanted to do, actually I'm going to go about negative 2 actually. I want to make this pretty small. Hello? Okay. It seems to me that I had planned to put some hanging things in the room. Right about here and right about here. Actually, I don't want that right over Akari's head. That looks a little bit stupid. So let's go ahead and do this. All right, and now what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna dance around some of the colors. I have no idea what this is. This is theoretically just stuff hanging from the ceiling, you might say. And I don't really know if I'm even going to think that it works. And if it doesn't work, what I'm going to do is actually let me save my scene right now. Okay, so if this painting job here I'm doing doesn't work, I'll just reload the scene and I'll get the old painting back, the old background painting that I just did in Krita. So you can kind of see what I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying to create a sense of some kind of something. Earlier I was thinking in terms of it feeling like just out of focus stuff, kind of. So I don't like that. The scale of it feels wrong to me. -1 parallax feature. No, didn't know anything about any parallax feature, man. You'll have to shoot me a tutorial or something. Oh, you talking about... I'm sorry, my bad. I know what you mean, Jay. What you mean is, what if we took this shot right here, put it into the 3D view, and then do a camera move so that we get parallax with the characters against their background? I don't use it a lot, but I do know how to use it, and it's definitely a cool feature when you need it, it'd be quite useful, definitely. Okay, so I think that just causes unnecessary distraction. I think that was a fail. So I'm going to go back half. And I'm going to discard the changes because I already think I covered myself. Yeah. Although my S key operation did not take, even though I thought I saved my scene. So that's a little annoying, but not a big tragedy. Let's do it again. S key, select all, -12, -30. Boom. Okay. S key, select all, -12, -30. Okay. Okay. That's it. File, save all. And with that, you guys, I'm going to quit. I've been going for... I don't know how long I've been going. A total of about 3 hours today. This has been a good one, though. I've been enjoying the background painting and getting the compositions dialed in. Okay, so obviously we have a little problem here with Akari. So what I'm going to do is, I'll show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go here, and I'm going to grab this marker. Okay, opentoonz just went stupid on me. So now I have to do a bunch of crap to compensate for the stupidity. Because all I really wanted, opentoonz, was this marker. I'm going to put this marker right against her nose. And then I'm going to go here. And I'm going to select just Akari. And I'm going to actually use the arrow keys to sneak her over here. And she's still not quite where she needs to be. I guess maybe I should zoom in. I'm about 1 pixel off. That's tragic, isn't it? Tragic, I say. There it is. Okay. Then we'll just take the marker, get rid of it. File, save all. Okay, that's it, guys. With that, I am signing off. Catch y'all later.